Did Joe deserve to kill? Did Joe want to kill her or not? And is he an unreliable narrator?
Okay, so I think, personally, in the moment, yes, he didn't want to kill her.
Uh-huh.
Do you mean, like, overall? Probably. And is he an unreliable narrator? Yes, of course. You only get specific aspects of the... Like, each chapter is, like, skips a lot. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Each chapter is, like, the time in each chapter is unreliable. You don't know how long these chapters are in space of, like, how many days or whatever. At least I didn't think so. And then there's, like, mini chapters in between longer chapters where it's like, oh, this chapter spans a couple days, or what seems like a couple days, or a couple of meetings between Beck or whatever is going on. And then it cuts to, like, him aggressively trying to get her back to, like, meet him again. And then things that he does to get her to meet him again. And then it cuts into, like, other things. So it's like the time frame is very weird in general. But it also makes sense because it ties into his, like, personality. And I don't know, this is, like, because of school, this is what I think of, like, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, he reminds me of this specific little box.
Yeah. What's the box?
What's the box?
Yeah, what's the box?
What's
like a
the
cardboard
box?
Or like a plastic box?
No, like one of those, like, boxes that you check off, like,
gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a black box.
You don't know what's in there or not. It could be anything. I mean, with him, it can be anything because he has or at least he gives us the perception that he's, like, this really incredible smart person who is able to kind of mess with everybody's perspectives of, or, like, perception of him, which kind of reminded me of Henry a little bit, but in reality I was like, we also don't know what his true thoughts are, because the way I was reading it, it felt like this was his... It didn't feel like a diary where it's like, oh, this is what happened to me today. It seems very tensional. It's like I'm keeping a record of, like, all of the things that I'm doing, and I feel like if there were a prequel to You, it would be whatever the person before Beck came. And then, like, okay, that journal's done, and then we're going to move on to Beck, and this is what happened during that journal. And it's just, like, a recollection of things that happened, or things that he made happen, the way that he either wanted them to happen, or he thinks that they happened. But when I'm reading through it, a lot of it that I saw was very... It wasn't bipolar, but it was... what is the word for it? And I had it earlier and I can't remember now, but
Anyway, books. That was the cold open.
Sure.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
Well, I edited in some flair into it. Maybe not. I don't know.
Do it.
Maybe I'll add, like, a little tune, like, or maybe like behind the entire episode will just be like this, like, soft jazz in the background.
Soft jazz.
That, like, is, like, kind of going on. Not very distracting, but, like, it's just there to add ambience.
Fuck.
Ambiance.
I can't remember the terminology for it. And it's in the top of my brain, but it's not on the tip of my tongue, I guess. It's borderline. Oh, thank God.
Oh, borderline personality disorder?
Yes.
Okay. Describe that, though, because I've heard of it, and I have some characters in mind that are like, oh yeah, he has borderline personality, but I don't actually know what it is.
So, borderline personality disorder is a personality disorder
yeah.
that is based on certain characteristics that the person shows or displays, which tends to be associated with a lot of, like, trauma.
Yeah, welcome to Walking and Talking.
Oh my God.
Alright, so what's borderline personality disorder?
Okay, so borderline personality disorder is a personality disorder, as we've mentioned before.
Sure. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't picked up.
And it's suggested that it happens due to a lot of trauma, and it is also associated with, like, an anxious avoidant attachment style, which is, like, when people have difficulty creating bonds with other people, and they aren't sure if they can rely on them to be there or not. Right? Like, as a child, you were either physically abused or emotionally abused, or gone through some kind of trauma, but at the same time, because you have that connection to your parents, and you're like, they at some point showed you some kind of care and affection, you're caught in between, like, wanting them to love you and then also hating them for doing the terrible things that they did to you. This carries on, the idea is that it carries on into adulthood, and if the trauma and the two different, like, selves and like perspectives don't mesh. If you don't address it, it gets to the point where
Even right there is fine.
where here?
Yeah.
Okay. It gets to the point where you, or not you, right? But maybe
Right, you, but you, main character you.
Main character of you.
No, his name's you.
No.
Yeah. I've read the book and watched the series.
My God.
That's because you never watched the series.
I didn't watch
That's
the
why
series.
you don't know that his
That's
name's
probably
you.
why. Right? And it's not U-Y-O-U, it's just you, like a capital U.
Yeah. You Goldberg.
God damn it. Okay. So, if those two like sides of your perspective don't resolve themselves, it leads you to kind of a dissonance in your relationships with other and your thoughts, where it's like how you see Joe, and where it's like one aspect, and very, very like evidently at the end of the book, where he talks about like how he both loves and hates Beck, because he's like, oh my gosh, I love you, you're amazing, or whatever, and then she does something that he doesn't like, or he doesn't agree with, or isn't for his best interest, and she's like, I hate you, you're a slut, you're this and that. And it's like that dichotomy that even it switches so easily with anything. It's like you texted her and she was like, yeah, we'll meet up, and then she's like, oh wait, something came up, and although you know there's other things that are going on, like that like switch like flips the switch in you, and you're like, I fucking hate her, she's a liar, she's this and this. But if she were to be like, oh, but we can meet up tomorrow, then you get all happy again, and it's like, oh yeah, she's amazing, like she's just doing this because of whatever reasons, and you give like explanations for their behaviors, where in reality like it has nothing to do with you and it's more of their issue, which is a thing we see in the book, where it's like, she's not the best person, he's also a terrible being. So I don't know, that's what I saw reading you, and it was really interesting to see it, because it's a really easy read, right? Like you're reading it and it's so captivating, and that's like one of the things that it's like, because of how captivating it makes it like emotional, and you understand why he's so upset and why he's like kind of like so infatuated with her, even though she really doesn't give him any reason to like believe that she's gonna end up with him, except that he pushes her into these corners where she's like, well, you're the only one that I currently have, so I'm gonna talk to you and I'm gonna be with you and you're gonna do these things for me. So thoughts?
Oh, we were still not even in the introduction.
Oh, that's true. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, books.
We
did it.
Hello. We made it back onto track, which is where we were supposed to say hello to you guys.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Most of what you heard will be spliced into another portion of the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, because we went from somewhere that was like covered and nice and warm, but had a lot of foot traffic, to somewhere where it's very windy, and I don't know if the audio picks it up, but there's less foot traffic, but somehow there's still more foot traffic, and I hear an echo somewhere.
I don't hear the echo.
I think it's in that corner. But anyways.
Hello.
Who
am I? Yeah.
Who are you? And this is
Anyway,
what
book.
you,
Anyway.
the book. Anyway books.
Anyway books.
Yeah.
Episode 2. I didn't come up with the title yet. To be fair, I came up with, oh god, what was episode 1 called? What were the 2 books called?
The Invisible Life of
Cicero's
Son.
That's right, that's right. Welcome back to episode 2 of Addie LaRue, where we discuss what's her favorite tiramisu.
And where she is actually the Beck character in You, and she doesn't die.
She's there.
She's Maria.
In New York.
Oh, look, a squirrel! Literally.
She's in New York.
She is in New York at this time period. Very interesting.
There. Joe could have met her.
You know what? I'm surprised we didn't get a Cicero reference in the Joe collection of books, since he has a bookstore. What if he had a Cicero book?
But they never talk about philosophy, actually.
They don't.
They just talk about, like, not niche English authors, but like we're talking about, like, it's the like stereotypical English student. Like, how have you read about Dawn?
And it's one of those things where it's like, do you think Beck actually read all of those books?
The book is really open to interpretation, which, so, The 2 books that we're reading today.
Oh, right. So the 2 books that we read, as we put in our description in the last YouTube video.
I think you put them, actually. Anyways,
I mean, yes.
they're there, as we put it.
I said we collective,
yeah.
which means I either did work or Andres did work. But yes, the books that we're reading today or we read, and we'll be discussing today are...
I've never read a book in my life.
Oh my god. What are the books?
I just read the... What, you didn't watch the series
like...
for taking baths as well?
I mean, yes. One of the books is called Thinking Fast and Slow by
Dr. David Kahneman.
Yes, Dr. David Kahneman. And the book You was written by Caroline Kepnes.
Keeps? No, I think it's Keeps.
You people.
You people.
Not as in like you people quotations,
you
but as in the You People, the 2023 film that I just watched yesterday, or like semi-watched yesterday. You by Caroline Kepnes. How do you pronounce Kepnes?
Kepnes. Keeps.
Kepnes.
I want to say Keeps. Even though there's an N in there.
Pronounce for me, please.
Pronunciation. How to pronounce Caroline Kepnes' last name.
Oh, okay. I hope Caroline is correct. But she's like, it's Caroline.
Oh. Oh, we could just call her CK.
CK.
Kepnes.
Yeah, it is Kepnes.
Kepnes.
Nice. We were right. It's like Rick Riordan. Rick Riordan?
I don't think it's Riordan.
No,
wait. No, it is Riordan. Or is it Riordan?
And we will never know because he acknowledged that he was like, I've been saying my name wrong for the longest time.
His name's whatever he wants it to be, though. Like,
I mean, that's true. My name is also Eunice, and a lot of other different things. Please excuse all of the foot traffic, guys. I'm so sorry.
You don't have to excuse it.
That's true.
Eunice.
It's not my fault. People walk here.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the 2 books that we read, and we're going to be discussing today. I already went on my little rant about you.
It's a cold open, to be fair. They might not even have heard all of it yet.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to splice some of it into the actual discussion.
That's also true. Okay. So we're starting with you. Do you have any questions for me? This is actually Andres' first therapy session. So please enjoy. You're going to know a lot about him if you didn't already know.
So we read about you-ness.
And not the Jew-ness, not like Jews, but just me. I had a nickname when I was in middle school. They would call me Junus, and I was like, I don't know if I enjoy this.
Junus, like Janice?
Like Janice, but with a U. Yes.
Okay.
It's just Eunice with a J. But yeah, anyways, do you have questions for me? Do you have study questions for me?
Study questions?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why don't you tell me what You was about?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it starts there.
You is about this interesting, slightly relatable, slightly unrelatable narrator.
Okay.
Named Joe Goldberg?
Goldberg, yeah.
Okay, I was like, names are hard. Joe Goldberg, who runs a store in New York City. And...
What's the name of the store?
What do you mean? I don't remember. I don't remember.
I think it's Mooney's bookstore, yeah.
Oh, it is, because it's Mr. Mooney's bookstore.
Mooney's books, something like that, yeah.
Something
not
like
imported. Actually, not imported at all. But it's a detail in there.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you know a Mr. Moon from Sing?
What Sing?
Never mind. Okay.
Like the video game where you sing?
What? No, Sing. Like the movie.
Oh.
the very much adored children's movie.
I don't watch movies ever in my life.
This is why we read books, right?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway. So Joe Goldberg. It's such a white name. I'm so sorry. It's hard for me to pronounce.
It's a Jewish name, though.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's supposed to be Jewish. Actually, no, yeah, he's half Jew, half Catholic.
Right, but he doesn't practice.
No, but I guess actually that's an interesting point. I don't know why he tells Peach that. Oh yeah, me too. I'm half and half Jewish, half Catholic. You're not practicing it.
No,
either.
and that's one of the things that's like it's presentation issues. Whereas he's like trying to be the best person, and the best person, quote unquote, he thinks is like, oh, I'm religious, right?
Yeah.
So Yes.
You think is he adapting to every person he meets? Oh, yes,
Yes.
he is. Yes, he is.
Yes.
He adapts to every
What do
person
you
he
mean?
meets.
It's like
he tries to be as malleable as possible.
That's the point where it's
Yeah.
like he doesn't like he has a personality, but his
Yeah.
personality is like, I don't have a personality. I'm a chameleon. I will get anyone to like me, kind of thing. And he does,
Yeah,
right?
he does, yeah, actually.
Like, I don't think there's anyone that really hates him except for like.
Interestingly enough, though, the book does a pretty poor job at presenting like his presumed charisma.
What do you
Because
mean?
when he's actually having dialogue, he messes up a lot.
In what
Like, for
way?
instance, his first date. We're already skipping right.
Oh,
We're already
God.
skipping right ahead.
Oh wait, okay. So this dude Joe, my man. No, he's not my man. Ew, gross. Anyways, Joe is.
My man's Joe.
Gross. Anyways, Joe
Goldberg.
Joe Goldberg.
Not to be confused with President Joe Biden.
What?
We're just talking about Joe. We're not talking about Joe
No.
Biden.
Oh god. Anyways, Joe Goldberg. We're never gonna get past this, are we?
No.
Okay. So Joe Goldberg falls in love, I guess. Falls into an obsession.
Infatuation.
With this poor girl named, I forgot her first name.
Guinevere Beck.
Guinevere Beck. Who we refer to, and she refers to herself as Beck, so he follows suit and is like, Beck.
Yeah.
Again, with the like, I'm just gonna do whatever you want me to kind of thing.
Like, yes,
So,
but, like,
okay.
that's an innocent one.
I mean, is it though?
Everyone calls her Beck.
So?
All of her friends call her Beck. Like, it's kind of like, oh, call me Beck. Like, it's not... Like, that's an innocent... Like, yes, it falls in line, but that's an innocent one.
I don't think it's an innocent one.
Like,
because
if you were like, yeah, my name's
because-
Onisa,
no.
but call me Janice.
No, because
Like,
there's different like ways to handle like trying to get someone. Well, not trying to get someone to like you, but it's more of like a. He tends to go for the things where it's like things that are slightly out of place, like more romantic, more on the romantic side, things I'll do for you while other people won't. So it's like if everyone calls you Beck, I want to call you something else. I'm gonna be special, and that's where I'm like, I feel like he would do that, but because she's like being like, no, this is what I want. He's like, all right, I guess I'll fit that and be like, all right, hey Beck, or whatever. That's how I see it. Could be wrong, but that's my interpretation of it.
He had that thought process.
I mean, he also didn't tell you he had that thought process, which
True.
is different, right? Because perception. This is this is not a reality. So, anyways, he is. He falls in love, quote unquote, but we see it more as like an obsession because he's like, no, I just love her. Like, she's amazing and I want to be with her at all times and every single day, and I'm gonna stare at her from the other side of the road while she has her windows open and judge her for unclothing herself and doing and self-pleasuring and things like that. And it's like, what?
Right.
What? I had a little bit of context as to like what this was going to be like based on my like snapshots of views that I saw of the show. So I knew it was like some kind of either like I was gonna say socialist, god fucking damn it.
Stalker?
Not stalker, actually. I was thinking it was gonna be more like I guess
Serial killer?
sociopath,
Okay.
sociopathy rather than like a serial killer,
Gotcha.
rather than
That's
like just a random stalker.
Yeah.
Which I mean, he technically is a serial killer, so.
I don't think he classifies it. He's a mass murderer. I don't think he counts as a serial killer.
Ooh, what?
That's
That's scared of me. Why are these squirrels so
They're
loud?
just hanging out.
No, that sounded like aggressive. These
Nah.
aggressive squirrels at UTSA. Oh, I don't know if we. Okay, anyways.
Wolves are our location.
Oh, yes. So.
Right, but that's, you went in with that idea. Even though it's not actually
Right.
the idea. It's
Right, I was
yeah.
like, okay, it's gonna be this somewhat sketchy dude, and so we're introduced to him, and he seems cool for the most part. He's a little like on the not raunchy side, but he's more of like the way that you read the book. It's like you're reading his thoughts, right? So you have an open field as to whatever you want to think about other people. What you actually say is a different thing. So he's just being very open with what his thoughts are. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's, I guess, cool for you. And then it goes to the part where it's like, he's standing outside. He followed her home? No. He found her house.
Yes. Through
Facebook
or something.
Through Facebook and like
I guess
Twitter, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Through Twitter, through like some post that she put that she got awarded this like graduate like home I guess that the school outlets
I guess the warmer. Yeah, it's a
kind
student
of
housing, but it happens to be an apartment.
right.
Yeah.
In the middle of like bougie New York.
Yeah.
And so he goes to her apartment and is just staring at her from the outside. And I think that once me following in with the like serial killer vibe, he decides to like change his appearance and like wear different clothes every time he goes to see her, because he's like, oh, I don't want to be seen. And I'm like, bro, like, okay, slightly stalkerish, but this is more of like he's just waiting for, like, I don't know, what are you waiting for if you're trying to kill her? Like, I am confusion. But I also don't know how serial killers think.
But we know what he was doing.
What?
So, no, and actually that's because actually I really, the rest of the book kind of becomes a little more normal. The beginning of the book is fascinating to me, more so than anything, because it doesn't ever present it, at least from remembering, it doesn't present it like he's doing these things. It presents it like he's thinking about doing these things, and later do you find out, no, he actually did those things. For instance, when he finds out where she lives, she's like, oh, any random person can find out, like, if I found it so easily, any random freaking dude that like falls in love with you can end up finding you and then like looking at you through the window from the opposite side of the street. Then you realize like, oh, he's talking about himself, but like he's protecting her, quote unquote, from other people that could do the same thing, because who wouldn't fall in love with Guinevere Beck? Like, I think it's written like I think it's really interesting because it never does it like that again. It's just specifically when he becomes infatuated with her that like he has that weird like almost disassociation, and then he just commits entirely for the rest of the book.
I mean, I feel like maybe it's because I see it as a girl's like from a girl's perspective, where I'm like, no, as soon as I started seeing that, I was like, no, this guy's literally doing what he's talking about. Like, it's not questionable where it's like, oh, is this something that he's like thinking about doing, or like, is this a protective kind of thing? Or it's like, so it's just like,
so more like the way it's written in text, right?
Right.
Yeah, like there's never the word that they use, I did this. He was talking about it as if someone else could do it, and then it circles back into a thought of like he's talking about he's doing it at the moment, like the way it's presented in language, not necessarily even like a narrative thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting because that's all Caroline CK. Like, she never used the word I in that entire segment to represent Joel talking about himselse.
But I don't think she used, or did he ever say I?
He does. He does eventually just refer to himself like, oh, I hate this, or like, oh no, I couldn't. I was with her, or like, at this moment we were, like, whatever. Like, he does use, like, she does use I, but in that very specific moment, he's referring to it like if anyone else could do it. So if he does it, it's okay because he's going to keep her safe. That like,
I was like, that is not.
No, that's not. No, that's not like.
No. I'm just saying that is not the same take that I got.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like, okay, I do.
To be fair, the way I read it, because the way that I've like also watched the book, and it's like this dude is just the ultimate incel. Like, and like these are like stereotypical incel thoughts. Like, he's just so happens to be like, I guess. There's also like a layer of pretty privilege, a decently attractive man, I guess. Like, or at least an averagely attractive man.
I'm pretty sure more than attractive.
He considers himself very attractive. That's narcissism. I don't think we ever get someone else saying like, oh no, yeah, Joel's like the hottest guy I've ever met. Like,
right.
I think he's just averagely attractive. Like, you know.
Okay.
Yes, someone could find him attractive. Someone could find him ugly. Like, it's fine. But like, he's not. There's a layer of pretty privilege that he has as well.
Right.
For sure. Actually, everyone in that book has a layer of pretty privilege.
For the most part, except the second hire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah, but then it's like, does he present him as like
an inferior?
Is inferior because he's like normal, quote unquote, or is it like? Because he also ends up with Beck's friend, no? They get like married and they.
Ethan ends up with Blythe. Blythe, which is also the other MFA student. Yeah. But I don't think like we never get descriptions of those people. To be fair, we get like personality descriptions of them, but never physical descriptions of them.
Huh.
Oh, maybe we do for Ethan, but not for Blythe. I don't think.
I don't think we got. Do you know what Beck looks like?
No,
not in the show.
Because I was like, oh, that's tricky because I don't remember.
Not in the show.
I don't remember if it's described in the book or not.
I don't think.
Or she's described in the book or not.
I don't remember picturing her. I'm not like, oh, she's brown. She has like blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, I feel like that would be the stereotypical norm, but I don't know. So I would say that he just didn't focus on quote-unquote looks, which is curious because that grounds things into reality, right? It's more of like a physical thing. It's like you can't say that they're not brown-eyed, blue, or whatever, brown-eyed, brown-haired, but personality are abstract thoughts. So it makes sense that he thinks mostly in the abstract because it's like based on his interpretation, how he can relay things rather than reality.
I'm really struggling. I feel like there was a description of her or her hair or something, and I can't remember.
I mean,
because like unless they just went off of like, because I think there's a description of Peach as well.
I think he just talks about how he doesn't like her. Descriptions.
But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not like anything super obvious, like blonde hair, brown eyes, or whatever. Right. I think they made the comparison for
to Natalie Portman.
Yeah. And also for Anna Kendrick, because she's obsessed with Pitch Perfect.
Oh my god.
Which is like an interesting character trait to have for your for your one of your main. Well, I guess she's not the main character, for one of your pivotal characters in the show. Loves Pitch Perfect, watches it every day.
And he's like, yeah, let me watch it every day.
Yeah, like
yeah. Peach is supposed to be white, awkward, and not insanely gorgeous like Shay Mitchell. Peach is hotter than Beck in the show. Oh well.
Yeah. Like I don't remember if they say in the book that Peach is Peach Salinger, like niece of the author. Oh god, what's his name? Something. First name Salinger.
Oh, that's the audiobook. Let me see if I can get the book back.
Dead air.
You. Oh wait, no, I do have it.
What was this arrow for?
You're like, we have to go back to it.
We have to go back to the eye.
Okay, so blonde. I'm gonna just Google blonde and see how many hits it gets. This is hidden bodies. Search within book. I see her smile, her untamed hair, blonde, and her resume, lies.
Okay, so she's blonde.
Wait, no. She's talking about Amy. He's talking about Amy. For example, I recall with total precision the moment that Amy Kendall Adam returned to Mooney, rare and used to my life.
Right.
I see her smile, untamed hair, blonde. Oh, because what's Beck's not blonde? She's brown haired.
Amy's
the new one.
Yeah, like the end of the book, which is crazy. Because now I want to know how it leads into the second book / second season, where spoilers, he ends up in Los Angeles. So.
Oh my god.
At the very least, in the series, he ends up in Los Angeles. Now, what?
So all of the brown that I see so far is just brown hashtags, brown mugs, brown the university, Dan Brown.
Big pivotal character.
Yeah, there's no brown description. What else? Eyes? Call it eyes?
If they didn't mention hair color, why would she mention eye color?
No, I'll just put eye. You don't have to make eye contact with the guy at the store who knows you like watching. Oh, eye contact is what keeps it civilized. Okay. So he describes her eyes. He's like, your eyes are almonds, and I go on. But you don't wear a wedding ring, and I go on. See, she does use eye in the beginning.
Interesting. Yeah. But this specific part, that entire specific part, I almost want to reread it.
Okay, we're gonna reread it. 1 second.
I'm pretty certain.
Is it chapter 2?
I have no clue. It's early on.
You didn't walk in here for books, Beck. You didn't have to say my name. You didn't have to smile or listen to take me in, but you did. And that's one of those things where it's like.
Yeah, we'll get there. There's no. He's a narcissist.
Yeah.
It's.
And that's where it's like, I'm like...
Is this... It's all System 1, right?
System 1, like...
His own thoughts. Does he ever actually use System 2, ever?
And that's where it's like perception, right?
Yeah.
Because like when he actually plans things out, he's like, okay, I want her to dump her boyfriend that she's with, and so I'm thinking about doing this and this and this and this. He never specifies that.
No.
He's just like, okay, this is what happened, and it's always in past tense, right? Like that's why it's like it seems like a diary entry, but like not a diary entry, because the diary entry is like, oh, this is what happened today, and you normally say it in like a third person.
Yes.
I think, for the most part. Actually, no. I'm feeling sad today.
Right.
Or I felt sad today.
Yeah.
But it's like you're not blaming other people most of the time.
No, I still want to find that entry. Like it's because it's like I remember like hearing it, and that might be the difference is that I heard it instead of reading it.
Maybe. Okay.
Like,
Chapter 2. First sentence. I came to E.E. Cummings the way my... Oh wait, no, never mind. It's talking about
in case there's anything, not like. We're generally pretty censored.
No, so, okay, it says, I came to know E.E. Cummings the way most sensitive, intelligent men my age came to E.E. Cummings via one of the most romantic scenes and one of the most romantic love stories of all time, Hannah and Her Sisters, wherein an intelligent, sophisticated, married New Yorker named Elliot falls in love with his sister-in-law. He has to be careful. He can't casually make a move. He waits near her apartment and stages a run-in. Brilliant, romantic. Love takes work. She's surprised to run into him, and she takes him to the pageant bookstore. Are you catching a theme here? Where he buys a book of E.E. Cummings' poems for her, and sends her to the poem on page 112. And then he goes into. She sits alone in bed reading the poem, and he meanwhile stands alone in his bathroom thinking of her as we hear her reading.
Right.
So, except for you, Beck, these past few days, I've learned so much. You put your tiny hands to work on yourself when the mood strikes, which it does often, which reminds me of another joke in Hannah. And it's,
I've learned too. Yeah, no, there we go. There's already use of an eye.
Yeah.
But I might have already skipped forward it. Yes.
And this is one of those things that's like,
But yeah.
No, like, all of it comes across as like, I'm doing this,
Yes, the slow reveal of like, okay, what are you getting at? Oh, that's a weird thing to say, to like, you're outside of her apartment. You are always within 20 feet of her without her knowing.
I mean... No, like... The first paragraph is like, okay, what are you talking about? I give you that. And then it goes on to, she sits alone in bed, and that's, like, it's still talking about the book.
Yeah, but it also wasn't. Like, yes, but, like, no. Like, that's also, like, alluding to the idea of, like, oh, no, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I actually haven't seen Hannah and Her Sisters, so I can't say. Like, what if that's actually the thing?
Oh, yes, but, like, it's brought up to, I feel, to represent that same idea.
No, because, like, immediately after, it's like, these past few days, I've learned so much. You put your tiny hands to work on yourself when the mood strikes. It's like, obviously, you've been watching it for days. So, I don't know. I think it's just me as a girl, like, a bunch of red flags.
Right, of
so I'm
course.
like, okay, this is what are you doing?
Right.
Like,
and it's interesting, because he also brings up, they use that specific maybe reading from that poem in the show, which I don't remember if he ever breaks into her apartment in the book now, but he does in the show, and there's a point
he does in the book.
There's a point where he is in the shower, listening to her.
That's weird.
Where like she's on the phone with some other, and like he didn't mean to get caught. He jumps into the shower, and she's like living her life, and she leaves. And he's like, thank God, or whatever. Like, oh, there's a layer of luck that comes into our love, or whatever.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
But that's, which is like, it's an interesting interpretation for whoever read it to make that into a screenplay to make into a series. Because it could mean that he's also, like, yes, he's just recreating the book entirely. Or the poem. Maybe. I don't know. He's delusional.
I don't know. I mean...
He's insane. He's batshit.
Batshit crazy. And that's one of the things where it's like...
Trigger warning. In case we cover You is...
Very graphic.
It's beyond rated R.
Yeah.
It is... it's not the most adult thing I've ever read, but like it's up there for sure. Like the first paragraph, you're like, wow, I wasn't ready to like jump into the mind of like a demented man.
Demented or borderline?
Oh, you're right, borderline man.
Borderline and narcissistic. I mean, those are the terrible, like the terrible two.
The layers of
combination.
Because the theme of the book isn't even like about Joe. It's the idea of how easily you can get stalked in the modern age through technology. That's the like sub-theme behind the entire book, according to Caroline CK.
According to the discussion questions at the end, or like her little interview stuff that she talks about, right? It's like,
it's not about Joe, it's not about like psychology or whatever. She found that fascinating, so she wrote about it, but it's about how easily you can be stalked with technology. That's what You's about.
So this
But
is
then we jump into like the craziest, creepiest man I've ever met on God's green earth.
Is it the craziest, creepiest man you've ever met on God's green earth?
If there is, and there might very well be,
Uh-huh.
someone like Joe Goldberg out in this
Mhm.
world, that is very scary to think about.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, it's hard for me to consider that there's a guy that like immediately like no, it's not that hard for me to like actually, but like to that level.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So this is where like where does that line end? Because he does bring that up. This is where I originally thought you were going with your initial like statements, where you were gonna say the part where like if Beck were the one like stalking Joe, it would be a completely different thing than if Joe is stalking Beck, right? Because of that dynamic.
Oh,
The like
double standard.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much. And it's one of those things where it's like, for someone in society who maybe like is more on this obsessive kind of scale, like higher on the obsessive side, where is the line for it's like things that are like okay but still creepy but like okay, and then like obviously it's not socially acceptable to like go to someone's house and like stare at them from the outside. Stalkers, right?
And
Yeah,
to their
that
window.
too.
But
Right.
it's also, it's very interesting where he's like, oh, but she's an exhibitionist, she wants this. It's like, stop it. Like, stop yourself.
It's like if she were an
Yeah.
exhibitionist, she wouldn't
She
be
would
in her house.
probably just because the windows open.
I know.
Doesn't mean she wants to be seen.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, books.
Books.
Sorry. Go on.
I lost my train of thought because I'm so mad. Half of this book I was just mad at Joe, and then the other half I was just like, he's a very interesting case study. That it would be really interesting of like trying to create a treatment plan in order to help him, but he doesn't want to be helped. Like that's like one of those biggest things in like borderline, well, not all borderline, but most borderline and like narcissist personalities, is that they don't think that there's anything wrong with them. Joe does recognize that it's like certain things that he does can be contemptible by, or can be held in contempt by society, and he acknowledges them, but he's like, but it's okay because we love each other, right? And I'm just like, and what reality are you living, sir? But in his reality, she loves him, even though she's playing hard to get, and like she has all of these other extra things that are interfering with their love, right? It's not her decision. It's because other people are doing this to her that keeps her from him, right? It's not her fault. It's not. She loves him so much. Like every time she's with him, she can't get away. Like she wants to be with him, right?
Yeah, Joel. So what you're saying is Joe's right. Joel's right all along. Gross.
Yeah.
Damn it.
What were you
I
gonna go?
interrupted you with like, now I'm stuck. Like, what was she getting at with the other previous like train of thought? Anyway, books.
Anyway, books. Lots of thoughts here.
Lots of thoughts. Actually, bringing that up, he does go to therapy. For different reasons.
God.
Doesn't go for because he needs help.
Right.
He goes because there's a point. They break up after however long they even actually officially dated.
We don't know how long.
We don't. The book, it's a book. And
Oh, I guess we should say that, like, there's a lot of things we skipped. Okay, continue.
True.
The
but we're
Benji
also,
part.
True. We're not like, yeah, we're not.
This is where it's like, I would have.
This is where like, this is the book club and not where like we analyze a book for all of you.
True. Okay.
Read the book.
That's very different from episode 1. It's like, okay. Anyways.
You had 5 weeks. Very different.
Anyway, books. Anyway, you.
Anyway, you. They date for some unspecified amount of time. If I go off what the series chose to do, it was like 4 or 5 months. It wasn't even that long either. Or like in the series canon, before they break up, and he realizes, actually she mentions very early on that she sees a therapist. Same Dr. Nikki, not Dr. Nikki, Counselor Nikki.
Right, I think it's like I don't think she mentions it. I think he finds out.
Or he finds out.
Right,
yes.
he sees that she's been going
and
to appointments, and he's like, whatever.
Well, yeah, good for you, and keeps going. And mental health's important back, and it keeps going.
And then she mentions, or she emails someone and is like, I'm going to see my therapist.
Yeah,
and then he's like, all right, cool.
I
I guess some context to that. It's like, first, the first time he follows Beck to not her apartment, but to where she went to like a poetry thing.
Yeah.
To read her short story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in New
Like
York.
a reading thing.
Yeah.
Where she read one of her short stories, and everybody hated it because it was terrible. I'm sorry,
She's
Beck.
a bad writer. How
Sorry,
did she get
not
accepted
sorry.
into an MFA program?
But at the same time, this is all from Joe's perspective.
True.
So it's like, what if
What does he know?
It's like, what if he's minimizing her in order to make him more accessible to him?
Right.
Right. But
that's weird because he sees himself as so grand, though. Well, grand within his own world, but not like grand amongst others. He sees himself as painfully average, acceptably average amongst others. Until, like, he feels the need to prove he's superior to everyone else. What an interesting character. It's like, no, I'm just average Joe, except when, like, you, like, talk to me, and I'm like, ugh.
And I think that's one of those things where it's like, he has a perception of himself, but when he tries to fit in society, he has to meld to what other people think of him, and he doesn't like what people think of him. So he's like, I have to show off so you like me for this specific thing rather than like me being an idiot. Like, I'm not an idiot. Even though I didn't go to college, like, I'm smart.
I've read all these books.
I'm intelligent. I can get people to like me, like, kind of thing. And him not wanting like certain perceptions to be of him. Like, he's still choosing what he wants to show other people, even though he's agreeing with other people at the same time.
Yeah. But anyways, the first follow, when he follows her to that reading.
Yes. That's where I was going with it.
Yeah,
he follows her to the bar.
Yeah.
Where
I think it's a bar.
I think it's a bar.
So,
where we see that she meets her boyfriend afterwards, her friend with benefits.
Afterwards, after the subway scene. Because the subway scene happens first before we found out about Benji. Or he meets Benji. No, he didn't go.
What do you mean? That's why.
Benji didn't go. Benji didn't go to this one. Or at all ever, I don't think. Because Benji also, like, treats her like shit.
Right. Was it when she went back to the apartment?
It's when they drove back in the cab that Benji's waiting for her at her apartment. And he's like, oh, and there he is, that motherfucker with the perfect hair.
Right, oh my god. But that's why, isn't that after the first night?
Yeah, but I thought you were, like, going into more detail.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's at the first follow, when he meets Benji,
yes.
And they have the whole, like, I guess, actually, no, let's not skip the subway.
Okay.
After the thing, she gets super drunk because everyone hates her poetry because she's a bad writer.
Right.
And then, and she's on the subway, but she's getting too close to the, like, yellow line on the subway where you can fall in.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And, like, I don't remember if Joe followed her there or Joe left early. Because now I might be confusing the book with the series.
No, he followed her.
Okay. In the series, he left early because he also got bored. Or he didn't like her friends or something. And, like, he left early and then Beck comes in. So it's more like fate in the series. That's why it's actually something I'm going to talk about later. It's like, it's very different narratives that the series and the book plays out.
Okay.
But no, you're right. Joe follows Beck into the subway. She's super drunk. She's texting Benji, presumably.
Because he's still under the protective ideology. Yeah. Okay.
And she falls in, but he's there, right? Like, oh, this is it. I'm the knight in shining armor.
Right.
I'm the bookstore guy you met.
Right.
And I saved you when you grabbed my hand from near death, and we're meant to be together. Except that he obviously staged that entire thing.
Right.
Oh.
My imagination at this point is like very K-drama-y. Like, the protagonist is walking, minding her own business, accidentally trips on her own feet, and like starts flying off, like, woo, and Joe comes out of nowhere and is like, hi, I caught you.
Yes.
You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And then you like look into each other's eyes, and then you're like, ew, and then you move on. But yeah, so he encourages her, I guess, to
like
take
that's how he inserts himself.
Like he encourages her to take a cab.
It's like, please, like, let me get you a cab. But I think, does she invite him to get in the cab as well? Because she's fully, like, she's not sober. Like, she's like, no, you just saved my life. Please take the cab with me. Which is it's about all manipulation here. Like, it's not. Yes.
And something that we find out later is that she recognized him and she knew that he followed her, so that's why she was amenable to, like, all right, you obviously seem interested in me, what can I get out of you? And so, take me home.
find that out. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But as we're reading this, we don't know
No,
that.
at
And
that
she's
time.
like, "Who are you?" And he was, or I think she does recognize him there.
Yes, like because he's playing it off of like,
who are you?
Benavir Neck, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm Guinevere Neck.
I'm Guinevere
but she's
Neck.
like, no, I remember a lot of things. I remember you. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Very, yes, very
like, oh my
like
gosh,
obvious
casually.
play.
Yeah,
like please.
Oh god.
Just say you remember. Like it's less obvious. Like yeah, I remember you. Like,
I mean,
whatever.
If you were a normal person, I would feel that, where it's like
you would
you
feel
don't.
awkward of like, oh no, yeah, I remember you walked into the bookstore.
No, I think I personally would feel awkward being like, hey, I remember you from the library or the bookstore that I went to 2 weeks ago, and I bought this or I bought this book or whatever.
Would you feel like weird?
I would, because like, okay, think about it.
Yeah.
For those people that you went to high school with,
Sure.
if you walk into H-E-B and you walk and you're like trying to go get pasta or something, and then you see someone that you knew from like high school, but like enough where you know who they are, but not enough to where it's like we were friends kind of thing. Would you go up to them and be like, hey, do you remember when we went to go to high school together?
Well, no, different scenario though, because they had like a solid exchange in the bookstore. It wasn't just a client and customer exchange that they did, where it's like, oh, that'll be $9.95, and then they walk away. Like they had like at least, let's say 7, 8, 9,
like
10 minutes of dialogue.
Right, some kind of like banter.
Where they were shitting on the dude and like they had an exchange that I think makes it more amenable to be like, oh, you're the person we shit talked that damn brown guy for.
I mean,
like, and maybe you remember the name, perhaps that gets a little weird, but I think that immediate level of recognition isn't weird.
I mean, for me personally, I guess I talk to people more often, so most of the time it's like, I'll remember your face, but I don't remember if you remember me, and I'm not gonna be like, hey, what's up? So I'm like, it makes sense that he tried to play it off if you were a normal person, whereas like if he was pretending to be himself, he'd be like, yeah, I saw you, and I was like, oh, she's gonna die, so I'm gonna help her. right? Where like, again, a lot of the things that he does is him trying to pretend to be a normal person.
Pretend to be normal within what's accepted to be normal.
And I
think remembering someone is like, these are like, to be fair, these are getting into the minor layers of how like, because these are like passable like oddities, right? Of like passable coincidences if they were truly coincidences, which they're not. They're staged.
They're not.
But they're framed as passable coincidences in the beginning until it gets out of hand, where it's like, this is no longer coincidence.
I was like, no, I don't. I guess it's just like our thresholds of happenstance and circumstantial stuff happening coincidentally are very different. Mine, I think, is lower than yours.
Right.
In
it's
very
like, I can run into someone and what?
My ID got broke. I guess. Sorry.
Like, I have a very real possibility of going to Laredo, going into an H-E-B and seeing someone from high school. And if I talk to them like for more than like 5 seconds in totality to 4 years of high school, then maybe I would say like, oh yeah, I don't know, Mario, how's it going?
Mario,
and then he's like,
who are
Andres? And then they're like, yeah, anyways, that'll be $10.95, and then I send my card and I walk away, and that'll be it, right? Like,
I mean, that's fair.
But like, I think those are generally normal interactions of coincidence when it's truly coincidence.
I mean, that's
what
fair.
I'm getting at. When it's truly happenstance, there's no wrong answer.
I guess that's true.
It's fucking stage stalking.
But the thing is, it's like it's all based on perspective. So from Joe's perspective, we absolutely know that it was staged. From her perspective, we kind of know it's staged.
She also knew.
Like we also know it's staged, but it's like if you're watching the show of it, like you don't know.
Right. But funnily enough, they both chose the opposite answers. She went with it's obvious, it's very normal to assume that you would remember me. And he went with nah, no way I didn't remember you. Like they chose two different sides of the only two choices they had. So that's interesting. Because we'd find out later, way later, that she knew.
Very much way later. Okay, so what happens after this? Oh yes, so they take a cab to her apartment, and she leaves her phone on the side of the back seat.
I wonder if she did that on purpose too.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but like, what if she knew quite a bit? More than I gave her credit for. Because she created. Anyways. She created another email. They interact through email almost exclusively because she's a hipster cringe lord.
Because she's a writer, and
she's a writer.
You
she's
cannot
a poet.
text.
She's a poet in New York City.
Except for tweets, apparently. You cannot text. You have to send out entire letters in your emails.
Uh,
Dearest Joe.
Dearest Goldberg.
Oh
I hope
God.
this email finds you in good health.
Gross.
Uh,
Gross. I mean, I don't mind. Never mind. I don't mind letters. I think like they're cute, especially if they're like mutually wanted.
you're like, yeah,
Right.
of course. Yeah.
If you're gonna send me an email and be like, "Hey, do you want to meet up at this place at 7?" I'll be like, "Why are you emailing me?"
Right. If you have emailed you like, yeah, when are we meeting for the third episode? You'd be like, why didn't you text me?
Well, yeah. Anyways, she goes to Brown. She's special. I mean, not special.
Brown's Ivy League, right? Yeah. Right?
Huh?
No. Brown's Ivy League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
I guess
sure.
yeah, it makes her special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Ivy. Blue Ivy.
What are we talking about? Right. Benji.
So he's
and the
Joe,
phone.
the phone is obviously she left it for him to take.
Maybe. Oh, in his mind, yes, absolutely. In his mind,
Obviously.
it's like, oh, this is.
He's like, this is my invitation to know where she's at all times, so I can protect it. So I mean, she can be protected.
Yeah.
Right. So he takes the phone very discreetly, pretends that she does, or I guess I don't remember if this is clear in the book or if I don't remember it personally, where it's like, did she accidentally leave it behind and he took it, or did she like, not that she did it intentionally, or if it was like he took it from her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she didn't forget about it. Like she didn't leave the cab and forget it there and he took it. It was like she dropped it and he picked it up.
I think she dropped it and he picked it up.
Okay.
I think he started to like start to scoot it towards his way,
I was
knowing
like,
that
Andres was doing a hand motion.
Oh yeah. I was playing for the camera. I'm sorry. I was playing for the camera. There's no camera. Or like he was scooting it towards his side of the cab when she got out. Like she used there's a point where her friends with benefits / boyfriend slams a window or something. So
that's true.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's when she turns around. It's like, oh, Benji, because they were having like a moment. And that's when he takes her phone.
They were both looking into each other's eyes.
They were having a moment.
This is a K-drama moment also, where it's like, wow, you like drinking? Wow.
Me too.
Crazy. So Benji walks in. Who is Benji?
Her Abercrombie beautiful man, boyfriend / friends with benefits.
Who owns?
He owns a lot of businesses, but he's doing a home style sodas or whatever.
Home style soda, yes.
Yeah.
Which is the most disgusting thing.
Organic soda, most disgusting thing according to Joe Goldberg.
Yes,
but
I mean,
think
obviously.
to him as well, because there is. Oh, I'm skipping ahead. But like,
so we're introduced to this new character, Benji.
Yeah. Mr. Abercrombie.
Mr. Abercrombie.
Just think of like an Abercrombie model. That's how he's presented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who steals Beck from Joe, who just comes in and swoops her away because obviously.
Because they're together. Well, I mean.
No. He's jealous of Joe. Duh. He's like, how dare you try to win this poor girl over? Like, no. Anyways.
There's a really interesting, and it's not in the book for sure. There's a really interesting line in the series that it's the way he delivered it is stuck in my mind rent free for like all the freaking time. Where Beck is like, oh, this is because he looks in the cab and he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Essentially, and he's like, oh, this is Joe. Like, he saved me from like a subway thing. It was insane. And it's like, I told you, babe, people are basically good. And then he like extends his hand for a handshake, and Joe obviously doesn't shake it, but like. I told you, babe. People are basically good. Like it's stuck in my mind rent free.
Why?
And it's such a Benji line too. It is whoever wrote it like really understood Benji to a T. Anyways, books. Anyways, series.
We should just never mind. Okay, moving on.
Talking about Benji. Benji fan club.
I can't with Benji.
Did you like Benji?
No.
Oh, good.
I was like, he's a terrible person. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's a terrible. I think he's a slightly.
He's like a terrible rich person. Yeah, like the stereotypical, and most rich people in the book are shown to be terrible people.
And again, it's like we're only seeing this from
Joel's perspective,
and I'm like, I mean, consider. Do you think they were all obsessed with Beck? To some extent.
Just Peach, and that's because we have proof of it. But it was just Peach. I think Benji was just friends with benefit, very normal thing for their mid-20s, whatever. Could have been upset. Dr. Nikki was a stretch for sure. It wasn't until when we find out. It's very funny how like things always work out for Joe, and that's the only thing. It's like there's no way this is all true. Like this is like unreliable narrator territory, because there's really only 3 people that like could have been obsessed with Beck, and it's Dr. Nikki, Benji and Peach. Peach Salinger. And Peach was obsessed with Beck. She had like repressed homosexuality. She was never able to express it. She had feelings for Beck, and she never got to express them. Or if they did, it's in their history, and like she was rejected, or you know, whatever.
Side question: do you think Peach identified Joe?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's the only credit I'll give Joe, that Peach was able to identify that Joe is the same type of person she is. Also equally manipulative, except she manipulated with money and not with whatever the fuck Joe was doing.
I don't know. Is it like carrying?
Whatever.
Filling in the daddy?
Filling in the right sex of like her daddy issues. Like,
good.
Because Benji was not obsessed, obviously not obsessed with Beck, and Dr. Nikki's weird. And actually, I didn't want to get to Dr. Nikki because you have the most opinions on what it would be like to meet a counselor like that. That would obviously break every single type of ethical code they have.
Yes, for sure.
Including, is recording like that even allowed?
Recording?
Like having a fully, like, I guess that's not true because if the computer is fully HIPAA violated. Yeah, like.
So, okay.
So he records every single session. He writes no.
No, he records. Yeah. He records his notes on the session.
Right. Not the sessions themselves. Right.
You can record those sessions as long as the client provides consent.
Gotcha.
Okay. And you give them like the full rights of like, if you tell me no at any point, we'll delete it. Yes, all of that stuff. Okay. You can record your notes verbally. It'll be interesting for like insurance purposes if you ever get like,
if there's some type of legal necessity
exactly
to send a bunch of MP3s, which I as someone who would receive all those MP3s would hate with my entire life. As someone who's reviews a bunch of medical records, my god, if I open a file and it's all MP3 files, I would go insane.
And it's one of those things where it's like, it might be his personal notes, and then he actually writes
transcribes them later.
Or maybe not even transcribes them. It's like these are mental notes, so he remembers what like are key components of the session that he talked about, or his reactions, her reactions, things that they might have like touched on, and then can go over them again, and then make notes as to like how it can help her over. Like the idea is that you're doing it like you're working with a treatment plan in order to help her, so you're using each session as a snapshot of how the client is doing, right? So it can help where it's like if immediately after you have your session you do all of these like notes to remember all of the like specific details. And then go back and be like, okay, how is this helpful? This is this is actually what happened in a more systematic way, because like when you're like talking to yourself, most of it is very like, what is that, flow of thought? You're talking to yourself. Your thoughts aren't as like structured as they would be if you're writing. Right. Because when you structure your writing, this is a very side tangent where it's like, do you edit yourself as you're writing, or do you write stuff down and then go back and structure it? But but no, I get what you mean. You put a lot more thought into writing words versus rather than saying things where it's like, it's okay, as long as it's not recording her, he can record himself, like it's fine, and he can keep it in her case file. Like it doesn't have to mean that, I mean, any kinds of notes, all of your notes as a clinician are susceptible to be seen by entities that put in requests and are consented for, and unless there's like a judge that is like, no, we need these like what is it? My legal
stuff that you need for like any
legal
reason
issues
you could find for like the need of public health records.
That is approved by whatever.
By anything.
By most of the time it's like
legal thing.
Judges. Judges, and if the other person gives consent. So if like they're like, hey, give my records to me or give my records to my spouse, it's like you can do that as long as they sign off on it. But yeah, so like all of that is in one file anyways. So your question was
anyway books.
Your question was
Dr. Nikki. I think he became obsessed with Beck, and obviously we have proof of it through Joe's eyes. but not in the same way. I feel like Dr. Dickey was like some weird fever dream
Oh my god.
like I don't, because it's not, I guess it doesn't fit like a more, I guess I'm thinking of a more like an exciting narrative where like Peach was a rival in everything to Joe. He sees her as like this crazy rival that he has to beat, and when he, spoilers, kills Peach.
Body count for Joe? 2.
4.
At that point?
Oh, 3. No.
Peach was second.
Peach is second? I thought it was his third.
Benji?
Benji? Oh, he killed someone else after, right?
No, he didn't.
No?
What did he kill?
It's just Benji?
No.
Huh.
He got beat up and then went to go see Peaches and then killed Peaches. And then
Right, he got beat up. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
He got beat up twice,
He did.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got scared the second time or if it was beaten up.
I
By
actually don't even remember the context of like
by Mary's brother?
Karen.
Karen, sorry.
Karen.
She will for always be a Mary in my brain, but Karen.
Karen, the Italian American.
Yes. But, okay. Should we go back?
Oh yeah, way ahead.
So where were we? Subway gets her phone.
No, we're past that phone. Yeah, that's where we were.
Benji, and
Who is Benji?
Beck.
We love Benji. We hate Benji. is
he the Henry for this book?
Henry is Joe. They have the same description.
I mean, they do. It's like they're
They're
both.
book shop owners, curly hair.
That's true.
Black hair, green
They
eyes.
both work at bookstores. Everybody sees them the way that the best
The
way
way
that
she wants
they
to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for the most part, I
For the
guess.
most part.
So then.
I have no wishes with Benji. Benji was really just like a thrown away character to prove how much Joe is willing to do to like continue this narrative he's built up in his mind. I don't know. Until it gets into more serious things.
That's fair.
After Benji, when it's like, oh no, that was just the beginning.
Yeah. So they go home. Joe goes home, and he's like, well, I don't know. I don't remember if he goes home or not, or if he just stares at them outside of the window.
I think he stares at them.
I mean, like, yeah, right?
I think he's like, are they gonna fuck?
Yeah.
like what the fuck? Like, I just saved you. That was supposed to be me in there,
Right.
like, which is very Joe thoughts for sure.
It
like,
is
it was
Joe
supposed to
thoughts.
be me who was invited, and
was
to
supposed to
like.
be. He didn't even go to your stupid poetry
So
thing.
he didn't even fucking listen to your horrible poetry.
Yeah, it's like, are you sure you're a writer? You need to figure that out. Think about changing careers. Anyways, I don't know what happens after that. I don't remember.
I think
It just cuts to
they start talking.
like
That's
messaging back
yeah,
and
they
forth.
start messaging back and forth, and like, but at the same time, Joe is thinking about all these things on how he's going to like get rid of Benji.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until he comes to the conclusion that,
That
like,
he
he has
has
to
to.
physically get rid
Yeah.
of Benji, like
Mhm.
because Beck is also equally infatuated with Benji for deep-rooted daddy issues. Oh, interesting. Like, this is skipping a little bit. There's a point. Let's just skip, gloss forwarded. Joe poses as some important person that would be interested in his sodas. Beats him in the head, traps him in.
Beats Benji, just FYI for context.
Benji.
If you're just like
Yeah.
him.
him, Benji, traps him in a it's a cage. He calls it a cage, but it's meant to keep books in like pristine condition, specifically
Right.
like very old first copies, like 300, 400 years old.
Think first
temperature-
edition of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, like
You want to keep that shit. That's
Right.
been signed by Jane Austen. Yes.
right, like temperature controlled, like humidity controlled, etc.,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
With just the one shelf on the side that like opens both.
Mhm.
I guess like
One way.
Is it one way?
Only the outside
Is
can
it-
put stuff in, and then the one inside can pull it in.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
in my brain it was like one of those mailboxes thingies where it's like you pull it down and you put your thing in and it pushes.
It's pretty
it.
similar, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
A lot of hand motions that none of y'all saw, but yes.
No, but I mean, okay, so it's not like the this
Yes.
way; it's the pulling
Yeah.
out way. Okay, so like a drawer.
It's like a drawer that I think only goes one way.
And I mean, I just
That's
no.
only, I think like the way I'm imagining is like there's a singular door,
Mhm.
but like it doesn't open until you put it in and push it in. So yes, it's kind of like the idea that you were presenting.
no, I don't think it's like that. It can't be because of a different scene later on in the book
I don't know.
where it's like they pull the
Uh-huh.
shelf out and they do things.
Oh right.
Yeah.
They do things. Yes, keep it.
Euphemism.
Yeah, do things.
They
You guys
do
figured it out.
PG-13. Well, it's
Oh,
a
way
PG.
more PG-13. This is rated R. They do rated R and
Rated R
above
things.
things. Rated R and above for sure.
Oh God.
Uh,
Anyways, is that in the show?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, no. It is remarkable how pleasantly rated R the show is, which is really crazy because the show is also pretty fucked up. And how way above that the book is.
Yeah.
It's just language, man. It's like the way language is presented in this book really makes me feel dirty.
I mean, that's the point,
yes,
right?
it is. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and it's like, goddamn, Joe, get your shit together.
What kind of person are you? And this is the best person of yourself that you're presenting to everybody?
You are uncomfortable page 1 reading the book, trust me. Go ahead and grab a coffee.
It's a good read, though. It's a quick read.
It is a quick read. You'll be done in a day if you really power through.
It's like, most of it is powering through because it's like, you want to see how it ends.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're going to know how it ends if you haven't read it already.
Right.
But
I already did all the major spoilers. But then you can read the following book that we haven't talked about.
That's true.
So.
We probably want to. I don't know if you read it individually.
Yeah, because I'm probably going to read it.
Okay.
Because they're quick reads. Anyways, Benji gets trapped in the thing. What was I going with that? Did Benji ever? Because of what we know about Beck. So there's a lot of back and forth where Joe isn't sure if he's going to kill Benji or not. But he has him trapped, which means he's still.
Oh no! That is incorrect.
No?
My take on that was that he was going to kill Benji. He's just waiting for Beck not to give a shit about him in order to kill him.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, if he's missing, you no longer have access to him. He's not listening to you. Like, just move on, kind of thing. So then I can kill him, and no one's gonna look into where he is, what's going on. But it gets to a point where he's like, she's still not coming back to me. Fuck it. Why? I don't even understand why he's even here. Kills him anyways.
Interesting. I took it a different way. I don't think he was. I think he was keeping him trapped until she stopped giving a shit, which is true.
Yeah.
But because she was not letting go, she's like, well, then you're just gonna have to go permanently. Because they kind of came into an accord of like, I will never talk to Guinevere Beck ever again if you just let me go. But in his, like in Joe realizing she's not forgetting you though. So you're just gonna have to go.
And I mean,
and it's very like, look what you make me do, Beck. As like he kills Benji.
And that's very in line with it. But in my mind, it's also like, is he really gonna let this white, like very rich person with a lot of connections go after being trapped under a bookstore?
The blackmail in the series only? Shit.
What blackmail?
No. Blackmail. He picks up blackmail in the series as a way to like, because maybe that's why I'm stuck with like, no, you don't want to kill him. So he picked up blackmail of
what is the blackmail?
That Benji had killed someone else by accident. So they both had dirt on each other.
What?
Yes, that's in the series though.
To me.
That's in the series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm
I mean, it makes sense with the like.
Yeah, but like that like Joe didn't want to kill him, at least in the series. Then that's probably where my confusion is coming from. But eventually finds out that he has to, and so he does, without any fucking like. Oh, he struggles, but not like he was committed to it.
I don't think he struggles in the book. I don't think he even pities him, because at one point Benji
he didn't expect the peanut allergy to kill him.
What do you mean? He did it on purpose.
Oh yes, but he was like he put all those things in on purpose, but he was like, oh, I guess he wasn't lying about the peanut allergy. Right.
But I mean, like, the intent is like you did it anyways because you wanted him to die.
Yes, because like, what if? Hopefully, but like to me, that's already kind of getting to the point of like, I really don't want to pick up. We were just talking about Breaking Bad on the way here, same concept. I really don't want to pick up a knife or a hammer or whatever and like bludgeon this man to death. Like I really just want him to like die. Yeah. So like I think he was already looking for alternatives.
I mean, yes and no, because he could have easily overdosed on all the drugs that he had earlier. And he was like, Benji's. Well, I mean, that also goes into perception, right? Because it's like he said, Benji got to the drugs and took as much as what he wanted or whatever. And it can go into that like, oh, he killed himself, I didn't kill him kind of thing. But it's like, you gave him the drugs. And it's one of those things where it's like, again, he's trying to present himself in the best way, and we don't know if he actually was like, here, overdose on shit, and he accidentally didn't overdose on shit, and he just got really fucked up, or it was like, or whatever. Because it's like, I think every time that Beck had a setback in like trying to get to Joe, something happened with Benji, right? And it was only like that last one. It was like, oh, I guess he died.
Yeah.
And it's not more of like a. It's still an active role, I think. It's like.
Yeah, I guess so.
There came a point where he was like, no, you're dying now instead of later, but he was gonna die either way. Yeah. There was no blackmail in this one.
Yeah, there was no blackmail there, but fair enough. But what I was getting at, the question I posed to you is, do you think, and it's more so a question on Beck, I don't think Benji ever lied about Guinevere Beck. Everything he told Joe about, like, this is who Guinevere Beck is, this is what she believes in, she just has these daddy issues. Yes, I use this red ladle, the whole red ladle thing. Yes, no, like, yeah, she has daddy something, I don't care, I don't give a shit, we use it in sex. Like, I don't think Benji told a single lie inside that cage, outside of like the little lies that he would try to get out of the cage to escape.
Right,
I don't think
so,
he
like,
ever lied about Guinevere Beck. And it's so fascinating. Because the more we learn about Guinevere Beck, it's like, you are also kind of not a great person. You're not like, fucked up. You just need help. But like, you just need some help. You need some mental health guidance and better friends. Joe needs a lot more. Joe needs to be incarcerated.
Do you think so?
I think Joe, fine. Like, yes, to the point, everyone needs something. He needed help too. He has, I don't know if they present him as an orphan in the book either.
I think he is an
that
orphan.
he bounced around through a bunch of foster homes.
I think it's alluded that he didn't have parents.
It's a lot more
but
clear
it's
in the
not.
series.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember him mentioning a foster home. I feel like he might have mentioned like bouncing around,
he bounced
but
around.
I don't remember
why. He needed help,
and
for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember if like his parents died or they just abandoned him.
But it's a similar conversation we were having before on serial killers. It's like there's a lot of people that go through a lot of trauma and they don't end up killing people. Yeah, so like Joe needed something. He was different.
I have issues with this, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, explain your issues.
No, so it's because I wanted to go back to the like, do you think Beck is as terrible as Joe?
No.
Why
She's
not?
manipulative, but like and I'm presenting it just like in what I believe is objectively worse. She never murdered anyone.
Okay.
Like that's the only like.
And that's the only thing that's separating them.
Yes, like she's manipulative. She's. No, I mean that is her like biggest sin. She manipulates people to try to get what she wants. She never even really succeeds in manipulation, but she tries anyways. Like she gets the attention, but she wants more than just attention. But then once she has it, she doesn't know what to do with it because she just wants the attention and not the like.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Joe and Beck are in like the same spectrum but at different levels.
Spectrum of obsession?
No, just okay.
Or spectrum of what?
Border personality disorder.
Oh, I wouldn't know how to answer that. What do you think?
No. Okay.
Beyond my skill.
Like, okay. So I'm just saying like, okay, think about it. Based on the type of personality that you know of Joe, he's like very like I love you, I hate you kind of thing. When I have your attention. Like, or when I don't have your attention, I want it. When I have your attention and like you still want it, but it's like, oh, at some point I don't really care about you because he's like able to move on to the next girl very easily after, right?
No.
Or not even afterwards. It's like middle.
He's never ever moves on though.
We don't know until we read the next book.
We know, like I'm saying, like even in the first book, he never moves on while in that relationship with Karen.
Because it's unresolved.
Always talking about Beck.
Because it's unresolved.
Yeah, like
she's dead now. It's resolved.
Like, his, in my opinion, his relationship with Karen was a way to bring Beck back to him, and there is no other like.
I mean, I feel like
it was not a way for him to move on. It was a way to like make Beck jealous somehow.
And I mean, I got that too, where it's like, oh, I'm with this person, so
right, haha.
I'm telling this person who knows your friend, and it's like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, okay, sorry, going back to my original thing, where it was like, if border person, well, I guess it's like, if their personalities, just on what you know, not based on the disorder, but just on their personalities in general, do you think there will be a point where Beck gets to where Joe's at?
No. I don't think
ever?
so. I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't think there's a point where Beck would. I guess it's also hard for me because the book is entirely in Joe's perspective. The series also jumps into Beck's POV.
Interesting.
Like there's actually an entire episode that's all Beck POV. But it hops around a little bit. So like it's hard from my perspective of what I know of both versions of the same series, but the same characters for sure.
So I guess we can go at this based on what you actually know from the series and what I infer from the books. Okay.
True, because I don't know how involved Miss CK was in the series, to be fair.
Okay.
Because it's loosely adapted.
Oh, good.
Season 1 I think is pretty well adapted. Just comparing the two, I believe season 2 and season 3 are no longer very close. I think they're just very, like, very loosely adapted. I don't know if Joe actually goes to LA in the books, but he is in the series, and he's in Paris for season 4. Let's go.
Oh my god.
He's following Addie LaRue.
He's following Addie. Crazy. Anyway. Okay. So is Beck
capable?
Wait, did she die in season 1?
Yes, she gets killed. She
gets murdered.
I don't know if it's the same way. I think it is.
She gets.
I think it's the same. Yeah, she gets strangled. Yeah.
Strangled to death. Pretty decent way to die, I think.
Decent? Yeah, I probably number 1 go-to.
We're gonna get off on a tangent if I ask you how you want to die.
Anyway, the book.
Anyways, Joe Goldberg.
That's why we're.
So, Beck, what do you think? In the show, would you think she has the capability to be another Joe?
No.
Why?
She is always presented as always trying to be her best self, but she gets in the way of that herself.
Okay.
Like, that's how she's presented entirely in the show. And they even focus a lot more on her MFA program in the show as well.
Interesting.
To allude to that as well. With her relationships and also with her writing. She's always like, yeah, she should be writing, but she wants to hang out with Peach and her friends, or she wants to go out drinking, or she wants to be with Joe, or she wants to do all these things, and never advancing herself, even though she always says she wants to advance herself, whether it is she's lying to herself or not, she's putting that out there into the universe. She wants to be the best person she believes herself she could be, but she always shoots herself in the foot for XYZ reason. Her issues with her dad, her issues with her friends, her issues with Joe, etc.
I think that's a very optimistic way of viewing it.
That's how it's presented. It's not even reviewing it. It's exactly how it's presented in the book.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, in the book or in the show?
Sorry, in the show.
Okay, because I was like, that's a very optimistic way of viewing it in general. Like, if it's an adaptation of the book, that's an optimistic way.
It frames her as a bad person.
But like,
always makes Joe the worst person. But she's never guilt-free of all the bad things she does. Which is why I was like, she's lesser. She's not capable. I don't think she would have a motive to like kidnap. Do you remember when Joe crashed and he's having these concussion visions of Candace?
Who?
Candace.
Who's Candace?
It's the girlfriend before Beck.
Oh, okay.
Which he very briefly talks about even in the book.
Yeah.
But do you remember all of that? If Gwen, this is like super fanfic. Read my OC coming soon.
Oh my god.
If Gwen was still alive, and for some reason was actually truly in love with Joe, which I don't think she ever was, she would have never tried to do something about Candace.
Like if she had known about Candace. Interesting.
Yeah. Because the way that, spoilers, whatever, read the book, read the second book. When Joe kills Peach Salinger, he alluded to it being a very similar way that he killed Candace.
Right?
Yeah. Really, that's funny. Damn it! Now I just want to read the second book to see how that works out compared to the show. I don't think Gwen would have gone to the same lengths in the opposite way.
Do you think anything?
I don't know. I think Joe was much more of a lost cause than Gwen is. This is, I guess, what I'm trying to get at.
Interesting.
And my only reason
what were you
is that she's actively seeking therapy. She wants to be helped. At the very least, I would assume so. We have no indicator of that.
I was like,
we have no indicator of that. We never jump into her mind.
Or is it one of those things where it's like because other people are telling her
to go to therapy? Yeah, so who knows?
Because it's mentioned in her file that by Dr. whatever but it's also it's also Joe that she slept with all of her therapists.
Yeah, the one in college, Brown.
And those are the only ones that she went to.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see where it's like, oh, I'm shooting myself in the foot, but it's like at that point, it's not a It's not a I'm shooting. Oh, oopsies!
Oops,
I shot
oopsie-poopsie.
myself in the
I
foot. It's more
accidentally
of
flirted
like
one on dates and then slept with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a behavioral behavioral pattern where it's like, this is what I want and this is how I'm gonna get there. And if you don't give me that, I'm gonna go find someone who will.
I guess.
And that's kind of what Joe does.
It is, but
instead of focusing on like getting what I want, Joe's more like, I want you, and you're the only thing.
I want you.
I want you, and that's the only thing. And it's like where she's like more amenable to like, okay, I don't.
Not working. Next one.
He's more of like, this one has to work, and so everything that gets in the way I will remove. And I don't think she has that determination, and I think that's the only thing that separates them two.
She doesn't have the drive. That's what I'm saying, that she'll never kill anybody.
And
she doesn't have the drive.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't have the capability to, and she probably would.
I don't know. We're dying on separate hills for this one. I don't think she would ever.
I think she would, because like, what kind of person? Well, I mean, I think that goes into great territory. So, I don't know. I don't think that'll be helpful to the discussion.
Because I think if she's so amenable to moving on, then why would she be so fixated enough to kill someone?
If there is a time where she feels that it's going to be helpful to her.
I don't know.
You know, I think it would be really interesting if you rewrote You and made Beck a little bit more manipulative, and she's like, hey, I don't like Benji, I don't like Peaches, but I'm gonna go do things with them, so you kill them.
Interesting. I did think she liked Benji, or at the very least because she got all the attention she needed from him. Oh, and then she got to complain about the attention she wasn't getting from him. I think like she was never gonna let go of Benji. Peach, on the other hand, I don't think she ever had an issue with Peach, outside from the fact that she knew. Like, she liked that attention that she was unwilling to give to Peach for obvious reasons that are clearly, maybe not clearly, but at the very least the way Beck is portrayed is completely straight.
I don't know. I think it's really funny because it's like, okay, you like the attention and stuff. Her concern over her presentation in front of Peach was interesting to me, based on like, if Peach likes her and is willing to dote on her and all of these things, but is also like kind of like bitchy at her and like, you need to be better kind of thing, I don't see why Beck would like cater to her. I think it goes back to like the daddy issues, and Peach turns out to be another daddy.
True. I mean, kind of. It's like if we're talking about like a straight provider, like Peach was rich. Sometimes she needed money. Like, we're under the impression that Beck usually refuses her money, but that doesn't mean she always refuses it, right? Like, that doesn't mean she always refuses the help. Or if she lost her apartment, she could always stay with Peach in her fucking estate in New York or whatever. Like, yeah, like it's like
crazy rich Asians, crazy rich white people.
Crazy rich white people.
Yeah, I don't know. So Joe kills Benji. Moves on. Beck eventually moves on. Now Peach is her middle name is Isabella, so they call her Peaches by IS, not ES. Peaches starts intervening with Joe every time like Joe goes to go see Beck.
Yeah, in the middle of when they're actively dating.
Yeah, she like cox blocks him a lot. Is like, hey, don't you think Joe is a cute like little fling kind of thing, but nothing serious? Because he hasn't gone to college. How dare he? He's uneducated.
He works in a bookstore.
He works at a bookstore.
Yeah,
what can he provide for you?
Customer service.
Customer service.
At least a white collar.
Is he even 6'3"?
Yeah.
Like, damn. So. She starts intervening into the relationship, Joe thinks, and I mean, she does.
She does, actively.
Very actively.
Yep. She's jealous, you know.
Yeah, for sure. That we see. And then Joe decides to do something about it when Peach invites Beck to a retreat, I guess.
Yes, because Joe is actively also fucking with Peach back by breaking into her home and trying to get information on Peach. And Peach, not being stupid, is aware that someone's breaking into her home. She's not sure it's Joe. Maybe she has her suspicions, but like there's no
clear indication.
There's question for reasonable doubt. That's like,
Yeah.
maybe I just really hate this guy so much that I want him to be him. Too bad she was right.
Yeah. And
but
because she didn't go with that, she died.
right. Honestly,
well, she was murdered, not died.
You know, I mean both.
I was like,
murdered and died.
I mean, died implies like dying
She just
not
dropped.
peacefully, not peacefully, but dying like.
Right.
And murder is like someone did it.
Right.
So yeah, okay.
Does that imply? Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, because like you can just die from like health causes and other things.
Yeah,
you don't have to be
you're-
murdered.
Yeah, but die like etymology of dead. She's still dead even if she was murdered. Like.
I mean, no.
The end
Yes,
result's the same.
you're right, but connotationally you're not right. Literally, you are.
Literally,
Okay.
like literature.
Yeah.
Like
oh,
books.
So literature is
anyway,
actually
literature.
all real, guys, is what Andres is saying. There is no nonfiction. I mean, there is no fiction.
There is no
There is
nonfiction.
nonfiction.
You heard
God
it
damn it.
Okay, Peach, what is Peach doing? What's Peach doing?
Peach sequesters, not really, but Beck and Peach go on a retreat.
Right, convinces her,
to-
I have a crazy stalker, we need to go to my other rich house in
Yeah.
North New York State, not like New York City,
Mhm.
or Maine, or whatever the fuck they are.
Do they go to Maine?
I don't know, they go somewhere north of New York City.
Yeah. Near like a lake.
Greenwich.
Yeah, I was like near
Greenwich.
a lake.
They go to
near-
Greenwich. Because Peach manipulates Beck into like, hey, I have a stalker, I need your help. You're the only person I can trust. You're my only best friend.
Yeah.
Woe is me. I'm too rich. I have a crazy stalker.
It's not like I could just get bodyguards
No,
and
yeah,
call
it's
the
not like I can
police.
just hire a bunch of
You're my
bodyguards.
only person
Yes.
that can help me. Okay.
So you can go on.
So then
Just give it
Joe's
up.
like, "How dare you?" And he was gonna
He
go.
took it as a challenge, and it was a challenge.
It was a challenge. It
was
could have been a
It was
challenge.
a straight challenge it was a straight confrontation from Peach to Joe. Peach on the top, setting
Okay.
it down. It's like, what are you gonna do?
All
She
right.
came with me to my estate. You're just a poor boy from New York City.
That's fair.
Like that's what
Yeah.
I saw. It was a power move.
It was a power
Too bad she
move.
didn't know she was gonna get killed.
She should have thought twice. So Joe takes it as an invitation to also go because Beck messages something of like, I don't remember if Beck said like, wish you were here, or like something along the lines where it's like,
hey, I'm sorry we're fighting. It's
yeah,
something along
something
those
like that.
lines.
And he's like, okay, I'm going.
Yeah,
And so he goes and stalks them for a bit, casually, you know.
casual stalking.
And then goes into their home and drinks some of their coffee, and then hides in a closet when they come back into the home, and then he pees in the cup for some reason. I was like, why couldn't
So
you
he
just
concussion
hold it?
cuts.
I guess.
Yeah, he crashed on the way there.
Oh.
We skipped a lot, but yes,
We
he
did.
crashes on the way there. He gets a concussion. He has like, he's actively concussing. Is that a thing?
Concussed.
Concussed. He's having issues. He hit his head. He did have a major crash. And he's wandering around that house fucking insane. He's
Yeah.
like, he's passing out while they're there, which is incredibly lucky that they never found him.
All of the evidence, like
Yeah.
if like the police
Which
were
I think is how he
involved.
ends up in LA, actually.
Mhm.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because like the police get involved, he's got under high heat, and he's like, oh, time to move to LA under a new name.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Damn. Maybe we will
That's the
read.
theories, anyways.
I was like, maybe we'll
We
read.
could just read it on the
second
side.
book.
I don't think we could cover
That's
another
true.
episode.
No. Okay. So, he, I guess, stays. He goes out to go. Oh, Peach runs a lot, so Peach goes for a run, and Joe's like, all right, I need to figure out where she's running. He finds out that
This is
he's terrible at running.
Yeah, this is before though.
What do you mean?
Before he goes to Greenwich. This is context for him going to Greenwich. Because he's trying to kill Peach before.
He's broken into her house. I think it's more of like scoping things out.
I think he's no longer running after, or is he? I don't fucking know. Because he
Yeah.
doesn't.
He's still running after.
Very confusing thing. Anyways, running.
Because
I think he starts running before.
yeah, he starts running before. Like, he
Yeah.
was actively following her
Yeah.
on her runs before.
Yep.
But then he goes to Greenwich, follows her to see where she runs there,
Mhm.
and then gets lost because he's concussed, and he's seen by a police officer. Well, I don't know if he gets lost. No, he was
Yeah.
gonna go back, but then he gets seen by a police officer. Is like, and he pretends it's like, oh my god, I'm so lost. I was in a car crash, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, is that your car? And he was like, yeah.
That's my Uncle Mooney. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he plays it off pretty well. Honestly.
Yeah. And so they help him out with his car. He's taken to the
This
the
is all like a
hospital.
weird like mini arc that actually doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So then he goes back to the house
Yeah.
after he's fully good, recuperated after. Is it a day or two?
It's a
unclear.
day. Like it's exactly a day. He's just
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I'm driving back to wherever I came from. Thanks for helping me, police officer. And then he drives to the house.
Yeah.
Where, oh, is that where he sees?
No, it's after he murders Peach that he sees.
No.
No.
He sees Peach hit on Beck.
Oh,
and that's
yes,
what
in
causes
Greenwich.
him. Yeah. And that's what causes him to be like, all right, now you're dying, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like faster.
Yeah. It was like a direct hit on her, like something.
Yes.
Perverted.
Yeah. And so I think he. Oh no, like
then
Peach.
she goes out for
I
a
was
run.
like, Peach like opened her legs.
Yes.
And like.
That's right. Yes, she was inviting for a much more intimate moment than Beck was comfortable with.
Yes.
That's
Anyways.
right. It was a massage or something akin to that. Yeah,
massage
like a lot of no, that
intended
led
happy
into
ending.
yes, that led into a lot of, and then Beck-Kepnes like, what the fuck are you doing? We talked about this or whatever, like, and then Peach is like, I'm gonna go for a run, and then so
Joe follows her. He's gotten to the stamina where he can actually keep up with her and like jumps her. She doesn't die. And then just
she passes out. Yes.
Yeah. And then
jumps her, hits her in the head with a rock.
Yeah.
She knocks out, and then she throws her into the river.
Yeah, he puts rocks in her, like her jacket and her clothes and or whatever, and then just like bloop, into the river, wherever they're at.
Some body of water.
Right, some water thing, and then
and that's it.
And that's it. And then he uses her phone to write Beck an email telling her, I'm ditching because this is awkward.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then he goes back.
Yes. Ditching with like a subtle context of like a semi-suicide letter. Yeah.
And like, I'm ditching forever.
Yeah. Which is, the show, way more obviously a suicide note. Very interesting. And it's also sent to everyone. Yeah, like very much at everyone in the mailing address.
Oh my god.
Like, well, it's been a fun time, but no more. Bye. Peaches.
Peaches. And this is where Beck emails Joe, calls Joe, and is like, hey, I need help. Like, something happened with Peaches. Yeah. I feel sad or whatever. Like, there's so much going on. She sent me this email. I think she had read the email by then. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was a couple. I guess
because she called him like a couple times, and then there was this.
But it was a couple days after, wasn't it? Because I don't think it was immediate. I think Beck was like, oh, Peach went on a run or whatever. Like, this is typical Peach. I don't care.
I see.
And I think it was a couple of days of her just living life, which is where you were getting it of like. Right, we read the book where she's like intentionally Mormon, or rather, we get into her mindset. Maybe she is more intentionally Mormon than you do. Like, I don't like Peach. I know Joe's doing a lot. Let me just
skedaddle here.
Let me just set some clues here to like.
Please murder her.
Please, because that's exactly what she does. She celebrates, like unknowingly celebrates in Peach's death, and then post-mortem writes a poem about Peach that ends up becoming a really big hit. Right. Yeah. No.
That's not in the book.
That's series end.
Yes.
But it falls into the same mindset.
But I was like, I'm pretty sure she like wrote something about it.
Falls into your idea of like she does benefit off of Peach's death.
Oh, and the writing thing is like she did write something about Peach. It didn't get popular. It was one of those things where like the TA or whoever like a co-graduate like
Blythe, maybe.
I don't think it was Blythe. I think it was one of her classmates that is actually a good writer.
Like Blythe. I think Blythe was also a really good writer.
That's fair.
Yeah, anyways.
I don't think it was Blythe. It was like someone that she didn't like at all. Wrote her stuff, and they're like, these are thinly veiled diary entries.
Right.
And they're like, we all, like, not that we knew about Peaches dying, but they're like, oh, your friend is this and that, and you and your therapist and this and that, and I'm just like, oh, God. But anyways, so nothing got really popular. She was just mediocre in her writing in the entire book that I know of based on Joe's interpretation of things.
Joe.
Yeah, according to Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, what happened after that?
They break up. Oh, okay. He gets jealous over the Dr. Nikki thing because he
Oh,
starts
right.
suspecting.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
because she's like,
Yeah, we're
she's
bringing it back to
acting,
Dr. Nikki.
right,
Yeah.
she's normal with him, but
Yeah.
she's not like reaching out as often as he would
like,
think,
he
but
wants more attention. Like they're still together, they're hanging out, but then like she feels distant.
distant.
Yeah.
And the distance is Dr. Nikki.
Yeah.
Because she created a new email just to email him because she was like, I think Joe is reading my emails. And we're like, where did she get this idea from? Like, I don't think well, again, we only see it from his perspective. I'm like, I don't think he slipped, or if he did slip, she caught onto it.
He slipped in their first date.
In their first date.
That was actually the point I made earlier. It's like it's very whenever he's open with dialogue, when it's not in his mind, he messes up often, which is crazy that he gets away as many things as he does.
And that's where it's like again,
let off as this like super charming guy, or at least high charisma. Maybe not charming,
right?
But like. Because he messed up immediately with like, how do you know I like Pitch Perfect? And then he's like, oh, doesn't every like whatever in this like age group like Pitch Perfect?
Right.
Or like, don't we all relate to Anna Kendrick? Like,
right.
Like,
and
really?
I think a lot of it he plays off. It's like, oh, well, your tweets, or oh, well, you're this, and that's like, and that's where it's like again.
Is she smart enough to catch on to like that?
And I think
weird.
she does.
Yeah, I think she is smart enough to catch on to that. Absolutely.
To catch on to that. She's not.
Clearly she wasn't. She knew.
She knew.
God damn it.
and that's the thing where it's like, again, with the Pitch Perfect stuff, with the email stings, with the like, you took my phone. The weird thing, again, is like the explanation for the phone. It's like, oh, I didn't disconnect that phone because I'm going to have to tell my mom.
Right.
It seems very sus.
Yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you tell your mom? Like,
and even then, like, you can just be like, oh, my phone broke. I'm going to get a new phone.
Like,
so
what? It was such a weird thing to be like, why are you making your mom keep paying the bills for a phone? Like, give your mom $60 back. Like, what do you mean?
I mean, yeah, because she's not privileged.
No,
at least
she's
that
not.
we see.
Beck has struggles with financially. So like that, it's and like her mom too. Like her mom suffered a lot with her like whole backstory with her dad. So like, why are you not telling your mom like the line is done? You're paying for your own cell phone service, or whoever's paying for it. I think it was her dad.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird. Yes, it's weird.
And again, and it's also like, so all of that we see from, well, I'm not gonna go into that because it's gonna be like a loop. Yeah. But Dr. Nikki, she starts seeing Dr. Nikki more on the side. Creates an email just for him, so Joe doesn't see her emails sending in and out anymore. She's just like, oh, she's just not as active. Yeah. And she's distant. But then he starts getting suspicious. Goes to see what the fuck is happening. He finds out. He goes to therapy. Dr. Nikki tries to quote unquote help him, and he quote unquote follows that help. Which introduces us to Maria in my brain. What is her real name?
Karen something.
Karen something.
I think it's Karen Minty in the show, but it's not. It's Karen something.
Minty sounds right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, then they used a completely different thing. Whatever. God, we could just talk about you for the entire thing, but
yes.
I am
moving good. Yeah. Okay, so what did you want to talk about for Dr. Ricci?
Nikki,
damn it.
That I think Dr. Nikki like has to be like the worst therapist ever. No. I mean, you think? And I guess like I'm framing it in that way. Is like, do you think that the help that Joe reads that he attempted to give Beck, and the help that he attempted to give the persona that Joe created to go to therapy,
right?
You think that it was very accurate? Like, is that something? Maybe not something you would do, but something that would be seen in counseling.
I didn't think it was very represented. I think it was more stereotypical, and at the same time, I discredited the entire thing based on his relationship with Beck, and his current mental state, where it's like he was being very forward with Joe in a way, and being like, oh, let's see. So everybody, as like clinicians, everybody has their style of like how they try to build rapport with people, right? But being like, let's see what the fuck is wrong with you. It's like, that's interesting. And then the way that he was very like telling Joe about his issues is not a thing that happens in therapy. So it's like one of those things where it's like, this is just like what not to do. And there was nothing in it that I was like, oh, that seems reasonable. And it was more of just like, oh, they're just like, this is him as a clinician is already making bad choices, has a lot going on in his personal life,
True.
and it's bleeding into his professional life. So it's like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're doing a terrible job as a counselor, because like we already know you are.
We already do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like one of those things. Some like, again, I think when we talked about the show The Patient, where it's like that one's a serial killer one, and I think he has a more realistic version of like what counseling is to me than this one.
Fair enough. Fuck. God damn it.
What?
I said fair enough.
I knew it was gonna happen at some point. For those who don't know,
we don't need to talk about it.
Yes,
So
we do.
going into the series, there is a thing that I want you to know. No one needs to know.
Okay.
No.
God damn it.
You can explain later.
Okay.
But no one's gonna fucking ask. No one's got in here anymore. Episode 2, no one's watching.
You should be watching Futurama. No, what is it? Not Futurama. Funimation.
Oh.
That's what it is, right?
Why? Funimation, the company?
No, Funimation has a motto, or their slogan is, you should be watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you should be watching.
Yes. Ding.
Ding. Yeah.
Okay. See, this is where we need we're gonna rip off Funimation, and we're gonna be like as our intro music, and I'm gonna make it. I'll figure something out. I'll have to remember this.
God.
Anyways,
it's recorded.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember it.
Oh, that's true. Yay. Okay. You were going on
the
with
series,
Nikki.
Dr. Nikki says something.
Who's not a doctor?
Right, Counselor Nikki. Right, no,
Yeah.
who's not a doctor, no PhD.
Nope.
It's just a counselor.
Again,
But it's their thing.
Daddy issues.
Which is something that was brought on by Guinevere. And the whole mouse and cat thing, also something apparently that Guinevere came up with that he started using, which is interesting.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like when there's a good metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a metaphor. It's not
right.
like he was using it to clinically diagnose it, but it's like, it's just interesting that it's all coming from Guinevere, right? Like, I thought, why is she so important in this book? Why is she so important in every life she touches? He mentioned something that I know for a fact is not in the book. To Joe, I don't remember what persona he plays off. I think it's the same persona actually, that he finds a gay lover. No, he's specifically talking about Karen in the book.
Okay.
In the series, he swaps Guinevere Beck with him being gay and having a gay lover, but very similar situation. But
what?
It's very weird because he's also actively dating the Karen in the series at this time too. But when he talks to Dr. Nikki, he's playing himself off as having like all these like, oh yeah, I'm gay and I have my boyfriend, but like, or rather, my boyfriend who came to work with me, but then we've had a falling out, whatever. Now I have a new boyfriend who represented Karen. It was very strange.
Interesting.
I don't know, they didn't have to do that because what they had with Karen was pretty good. Anyways, this is just screenwriting perspectives.
That's interesting.
I
wonder why. Is it because it would allow the introduction of like ex-boyfriend / new boyfriend, and like I'm still stuck on my ex kind of thing? Where it's like this one, it's
with
like
Karen, it was like, this is how you're gonna move forward, and he kind of starts believing it.
Cool.
A little bit. I think he believes that. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what Joe believes. It's hard for me to jump into his shoes.
I don't think he would believe that. I think it's one of those things where it's, I think he
was trying to let Dr. Nikki know, oh, what a great counselor, but he never truly believed it. You're right. He was adapting to what he needed to be for him. Right. No, actually, yeah, that's right. Because by the end, he's like, don't give up. Like, you'll get through your issues. You're a great counselor. Look how much you've helped me. He didn't help me at all, but like, but you're right. He is adapting to to be.
And it's just,
yes, you're right.
That perfect client, and that's one of the things that we like as I'm not a clinician, so please take it with a grain of salt. But something that we are
told. Your views not represent any of them.
Right?
What's that
blurb. I need to like write that down. My views and what I say is not representative of any university or any kind of association, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so I need to write that down like word for word. But so in our field, we are told that there's no perfect client, and if someone pretends to be a perfect client, those are major red flags. Where it's like, their presentation, like they're fixing their presentation to fit your needs, and it's like, are they doing it to manipulate you? B, is it like done intentionally, unintentionally? And it's just like all of these things where it's like, there is no person that it's gonna be that easy ever. whatever. And if they do, and if they're like, oh my gosh, you're an amazing counselor, it's like, why? What do you mean? Like, counseling is the client does most of the work, honestly. And it's like, and if they don't do the work, there's not going to be an improvement.
Right.
And most of the time, you're there to hold them accountable for whatever it is that they're trying to get to, like their goals. Yeah. So it's like, for me to hear that, it's like, oh, you're such a great counselor. I'm like, bro, no.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Maybe he didn't even notice it because all of the issues he was having in his personal life.
And because at this point, he's getting validation from Beck. And from
Joe. He didn't know he got in between the middle of something. Poor guy.
Yeah.
He didn't know that like his life literally got ruined by the two people that were ruining everyone's lives in their path towards destruction.
Just collateral damage.
Yeah.
Poor Dr. Nikki.
This is an interesting phrase that he tells Joe in the series. You want to be loved the way you believe you deserve to be loved the way you want to be loved, or something along those lines of like what Joe wants is to be loved the way he deserves to be loved, or like in his idea of what deserving love means. Separate the idea of like counseling. But
No, because I'm just like in my head, I'm like thinking about like, have you ever seen Perks of Being a Wallflower?
No.
Okay. Damn. Well, there's this one quote from there. It's we accept the love we think we deserve. And I think that's close.
Pretty similar concept, I think. Yeah. Okay. Like he wants to be loved the way he wants to. He wants to be loved the way that he wants, rather than how the other person
how
he is loved by Guinevere Beck. Yeah. Do you agree with that statement or not? Like, and this is some other writers, someone who read the book, who wrote the screenplay, who made up that line because it's clearly not in the book. Do you agree with that? Like,
who said this?
Dr. Nikki. That was a line used by Dr. Nikki.
Does it? You mean in general? Like,
but this thought thought of someone who clearly read the book and wrote that line for another character. Do you believe that or not?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What about if you separated from everything Joe is? I'm just kidding. What if we forget that's Joe?
What if we forget it's Joe and it's just a random person who's trying
the person that's kind of like Joe.
That's kind of like Joe. And I think it's where it's like...
What if it's the persona Joe created? Do you think that applies to Joe's persona?
God damn it. So if we think about it in the sense of like the Joe that Joe is presenting.
Yeah, the persona.
So
Joe-tona.
like he's like, oh, I'm trying to... I don't know about the series, right? You mentioned the boyfriend thing, but I don't know where exactly the issue was. For the book, the issue is like he has this obsession with something, right? And then like he's trying to get over the obsession. And so the metaphor is like you have a mouse in your house, so you get the cat to get rid of the mouse, right? And so he's saying that by wanting love in a specific way. Wait, can you repeat it?
You want to be loved the way you deserve to be loved. I think that's verbatim.
Okay, you want to be loved the way you deserve.
Or maybe you think you deserve to be loved. I think there's a think in front of it. Because obviously deserve to be loved doesn't make sense. But like, yes, like, but it's the same concept of like, he has an idea of what love looks like, and he wants to receive that.
Okay.
And I guess in his reality, love looks like obsession. Like to be completely.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
The way that he is with Guinevere Beck, that unhealthy infatuation.
I feel like.
But does he want? Oh fuck, that's interesting. Anyways,
because it's like it's one of the things where it's like I feel like the statement can be true for certain people if they aren't unaware of how or what their definition of love is. Like if it's like if you haven't decided what it is that you actually want love to be or like how you want it to look and you're just going based off what you have seen, it makes sense that would be like so I think I deserve this based on my experiences, right? Rather than like this is what I actually deserve based on what I deserve as being a human being kind of thing, and like being respectful, being worthy of respect, and like just having the ability to be loved in general.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it can be different between like individuals and Joe, whereas Joe is like, well, I deserve someone to have complete like infatuation with me. I want their attention completely 100% of the time. And that goes into the borderline personality disorder because it's like you need all of the attention or if like any less than 100% is nothing to me. Like, I mean nothing to you, and it goes from that like extreme to other extreme like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's the same thing. It's where it's like he thinks he deserves 100%, and anything less than that is not enough. So I'm gonna kill everybody until you give him that.
Yeah, until I'm your only option.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he's never gonna be that only option. So she is gonna die.
Interesting.
Like, and that's a question I wanted to pose to you
Yeah,
another time, or I don't think.
Another time.
Or no, like I was gonna ask you earlier, and I don't think I did. It's like, do you think Beck and Joe would have ever been happy?
No, for the same reason.
And I was like, do you think? Yeah. So it's like, even if there weren't all of these people involved, would they be happy?
No, they would not be happy. Because and it's more so that I think because we get a glimpse at exactly what Joe wanted, and even when there had to have been a period in time when Joe was truthfully the only option Beck had and was pursuing, but even then that was kind of not ever enough for Joe. And like, it's like, you literally are the couple you want it to be, and that's not enough for you still, because you want to keep increasing this layer, this magnitude of affection. But she's already giving you everything she has for the current time in your relationship. What else do you want? And like that starts presenting the idea of like you're pushing her away. And maybe he did to some extent, of like, not really, because she was seeking attention. She finds someone else, and in this case I think it was Dr. Nikki, and then same thing. No, they would have never been happy. There would have always been a third person from both ends, actually, funnily enough.
I was like, I don't even think it would be a third person. It would just be like the best situation that I can think of. Oh, I mean, like going along with that, it's like another example would be like where he talks about the red ladle. They go to IKEA, and they're like, oh, look at all these things, and she opens up to him throughout the store, being in the store. And he's like, but you didn't tell me about like in his mind, he's like, but you didn't tell me about the red ladle. And I'm like, but you told this other person about the red ladle. I want to be told about this. And it's like, dude, she's still opening up to you. She's telling you about like all of these things and emotions. Give her time. And it's like, yes. And it's like, okay, there's a difference between not opening up and opening up, but not telling you that specific story.
We weren't going to go over all my trauma on this IKEA trip today. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe. And that's where it's like his standards for like intimacy and like, I don't know what he wants, I guess, are like either ridiculously high or ridiculously low, because it's like, I don't know. It's just, again, extremes at any ends. It's like, I ignore you completely and you're dead to me, or you're in my life completely and I must kill everybody that's around you.
Yeah, and then we're pretty much at the end at this point. I don't remember. Right, she finds all this shit.
Yes.
That's right.
So I think she's trying to do like a nice dinner for him or something. She goes home from school.
Yeah, they get back together after this whole Dr. Nikki thing because she has no other option.
Right. And
there was a point in time he got so mad he made a hole in his wall. And he started to, not that he started, he moved up. He's broken into her place several times, and every time he went, he collected a little trophy, something menial, something she would never.
Serial killer vibes, guys.
He was achievement serial killer vibes, like, or trophy serial killer vibes. Like, he would pick up like an underwear that she probably would never like, which is kind of weird. Like, I feel like I know what all my underwear are. I would notice if one was missing after a while.
She's really messy.
I guess.
Like he talks about going into
she was a bit of a slob.
Her house and like stepping on what is it called, the hanger, and breaking the hanger and being like, she wouldn't even notice.
Right,
like,
but he took stuff like that. Yeah, menial things.
He took the hanger that he broke. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
I think he took like random, like in the
he took random stuff. Yeah.
That,
a lot of them were underwear and bras.
Yeah, a lot of it was her
undergarments.
Damn it.
I have mine. Anyways.
I have mine. Bunch of shit, put it in a box, and then eventually he moved the box into that hole. And then her being drawn to that hole, which he blames her for snooping in his home. It was like, well, it's a double standard back. Anyways, she finds everything, and then that's when she puts two and two together that, oh, she wasn't just kind of like following me. He was
following me.
Like, I had no, like, yes, he was reading my emails, but not like to the extent that I wasn't even aware of. Like, breaking into my home when I wasn't fully aware of it. Like, it's all these things that collapse into this massive fight, and that's where the like Joe's ideals mostly come out in that one specific fight. And it was like, you know, what's the deal? Like, you know, you're looking around my home. I didn't give you permission to look into my hole.
My box of Beck things.
My box
this
of
is a
Beck
shrine
things.
to you. Do you not like it? Dang. Oh man, if anyone were to like clip
why
out,
don't
like,
you have a shrine of me, actually?
Yeah, actually. Like, why haven't you gone to my house and taken some of my things?
I would have loved if you taken my socks back. And I probably would have. Like, it's... Because that's what he wants.
Yeah.
If going off that dynamic, like, he would really love if someone was that obsessed with him.
Exactly. It's like, I'm giving you 100%. Why are you only giving me 20?
Yeah.
Why aren't you stealing my stuff? Why aren't you setting up these fake coincidental events?
Yeah. Anyways, he knocks her out and takes her to the cage. The same cage that he murdered Benji in.
Yep.
And that's essentially the end of the story.
It was really interesting, because it was like, he knocks her out, she pretends to die, and then
that's in the cage. There's already, like, when they're reading the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's very manipulative, though.
She's
very good at it.
At that point, she almost got away with it. But he had everything accounted for. I hate that, like, he is very smart in the form of, like, manipulating people. Because he was like, shit, I left the door open. I don't remember if he did it on accident or on purpose.
I'm pretty sure he did.
I think he did, because I feel like that's getting to the point of, like, I think he didn't want to. But yeah, the idea of, like, you left the door open, it's like, she's gonna try to escape. But obviously it's natural for her to want to escape, because she's been in a cage for a week and a half. But too bad that, like, the front door is locked or whatever. Like, it gets...
I mean, it can also be foreshadowing by the author being like, oh, even if she tries to escape, she can't escape.
Yeah, she's stuck.
Like,
Which could be a massive metaphor of, like, what that relationship with Joe is. She's escaped from the cage that was a relationship, but not the entire influence of Joe that he has on her life.
Yeah, but he said he was like, the door is locked and she doesn't know where the key's at. And I was like, damn, what a dick.
Yeah, it's like, even if she tries to escape, doesn't matter. And she did try to escape.
She did.
What rational human being wouldn't try to escape?
And she did really well.
Because you would assume that the cage was left open on accident. And yeah, she faked her death. And somehow, or maybe Joe was really bad at taking a pulse. She stopped breathing for let's say a minute and a half. Joe convinced she was dead, and then she tried to scoot out. She tried to, like, sneak out while she was, like, unconscious, not unconscious, playing dead. And that pissed him off. So he suffocated her, and she died a great way, top one way to die.
She died the same way that she came into life.
I don't even know
she
what
died
that
at her
means.
birthday suit.
Yeah.
Instead of gasping for air.
In her
well,
mouth.
I mean, oh god. I think that was just brutal, and that's one of those things where it's like.
It was, and that's where I'm like, did he really mean to kill her? Or, like, yeah, but no, it did. Like, he entirely did.
Yeah.
Because he felt, of course he felt the regret afterward. But, but like, oh shit.
And it's one of those things again. It's like, as soon as you take him to the cage, there's no, like, out.
No.
The only way out is by killing them.
Exposing that side of the cage means you've exposed everything of who you are, and no one. He knows.
Do we know what he did with Benji's body? I don't remember. Did he put it in a car and drive the car out?
Burned it.
I don't remember.
He burned it.
He burned it?
Incinerates it, cremates it.
Oh, he cremated it.
Cremates it himself.
He did it.
And
the
he
ashes.
learned how to cremate by going to the local bookstore and reading books on cremation.
No, I thought he Googled it.
No, because that's traceable. He read it all through books, I'm pretty sure.
No,
but like,
it was a DIY how to cremate, but I don't remember if it was a physical copy or if it was on Google.
I think it was a physical copy because that's untraceable. But it wasn't like, I don't think it was a DIY how to cremate. I think it was stuff like tangential to it because like he read like how to baste a turkey or whatever.
No,
like,
it was a DIY. Sure? Hold on, let me.
Anyways, it's the end of You.
Yep.
Essentially.
We finally made it. We finally made it, guys.
And
it's like 5.
2 hours. Whatever. The whole episode on You. Essentially. Who said it was gonna be shorter than 3 hours? That's basically impossible.
Okay. So yeah, read You, guys. If you have any questions and concerns, if you want us to, I don't know. I guess if you read the book and you have questions for us specifically, you could always let us know and we'll answer them individually and then as a group, as a collective. Yeah.
You will be added into the group chat.
The what?
The group chat.
The group chat, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Damn, it doesn't say. I had to get Curtis to work crazy hours during Halloween, and I had to learn to cremate a corpse. And after reading all of that, all we know is that Joe Goldberg is a terrible person.
So we're not addressing it, right?
I mean, we can, and just be and say what.
That we so.
Because... Oh, you're gonna like break the fourth wall and do it. Okay.
Yeah. I meant, are we addressing this? The fact that we obviously sound different, and there's no more like background noise.
I mean, I could make some background noise. Like we'll do some ASMR at the end. Yeah, like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like with the rest.
Sorry, guys. Eventually, we'll figure out where it's best to record, where there's no random noises and people skateboarding around us. But that is the end of the episode for you. Haha. And
God, I just got it. Oh my god.
And next episode, well, not next episode, but next part of the episode will be talking about thinking fast and slow, right?
Yeah, but we're not talking about it then. All right, cool. You can figure it out. You can figure out why this was added in post. You're all very smart, literate individuals, clearly. I haven't met anyone who's listened to the last one who's read any of the books, but I believe that you all can read for sure.
I mean, someone did say that they were illiterate, and that's why they were listening to our...
I mean... Oh, never mind. I read Cicero. I was about to say I haven't read any of the books that we read either. Anyway, so yes, that was it. That was the end of You, the You episode for you, by you and me.
Oh no. This is turning into one of those really creepy like quotes that I've been reading about Joe Goldberg, just taking out of context.
Read it. One last to go. This has been. I'll date the episode. It's like almost 2 weeks since we recorded that. Date the episode. Let's put one out of context for that way. Might be totally in context for them.
Most valuable things in life are usually the most helpless.
Thanks, Joe Goldberg. And we'll see you with Thinking Fast and Slow when the quality decreases again. Except that maybe we'll record an intro for that too. So it's going to be us like 5 minutes from now in your next 5 minutes. And then you're going back 2 weeks ago-ish to what you were just hearing with the mashed together. I was going to try to say mashed potatoes, but then I was like, yeah, but we were also like, I don't know where I was going with this. It's at 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop recording. Goodbye forever. I hope that you enjoyed the smooth jazz, because it's been present all along and you can't stop me.